connect to the database and using Hibernate or something, or plain JDBC, it will save something, which I have not written yet. So how do I write that? Typical approach is to write a DAO class. So for person service, there is person DAO, right? Which will have like save, get, and all those things, find by ID, typically. But here I am following a generic DAO pattern. So you see in a car rental company or any company, you will have what, like 100, 50, 60 domain classes. All it will have, save car, get car, save car by car, location, customer. Usually there will be 100 DAO class very similar, save car, save location, save customer. So do you need to create DAO for each of them? Well, no. So what I have done here, I call generic DAO, and here I can basically it takes the class as a Java generics, right? Takes the class as a parameter. And here if you ask Eclipse, it will only give you generic DAO and DAO. But we want to name it meaningful name, right? So you have to name like person DAO. Okay. Now will it still work? If you go to the generic DAO, it has create, find all, update, delete, all those things, right? And I have also an implementation class which does the actual work, calls Hibernate and then create, all this. Where is the create thing? Create right here, okay? So now let's put a call to save to person DAO, and let's see what happens. So save, right? Now infinite test also is not, it should have, you think you should have ran the person service test, right? But doesn't understand. So you have to go to person service and make some change in the class a little bit. And let's see what happens. Now it's red. It was green, it became red.
Can you utilize the taskbar to find out what tests failed? Because I noticed you have the mark there, but how do you find where it's failing?
Yeah, if some test failed, it will put a marker.
But how do you know which file that marker is in?
Well, it will be in the test file, as I showed you in the string util test. When the string util test happened, it put a marker here, right? When the return is 0, it put a marker on the line 37 because it was greater than 0 and it was not passing.
Right, but if it's marking in the test, generally you made the code change not in a test so that it broke. So how can you, from your domain classes or your functional classes, figure out which of your tests you broke?
Yeah, it does to some extent, Okay. Not a whole lot. Okay. So let's see. Person service simple. Now to answer your question, this person service simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Puts a marker right there, line 34.
Okay.
Is there a Java problem? Java code is fine. There is no compiler error. So if you take a mouse over there, so what does it say? Null pointer exception. So person DAO is null because we have just defined it in line 22. Obviously it is null because we have not hooked up to Spring. So to do that, what you do, you can define a Spring bean in the XML, or you can use the resource. Okay. Now again, it doesn't understand that it needs to run that test because the test is called person service and this is person service import. So what you have to do, you have to go to person service test and make some changes here. again green, okay? Because now Spring is wiring that in and it's not null anymore. Now it is not null anymore, right? Now at this point it is worthwhile to go and look at the file application data of what I have done. There actually beforehand I defined a class called person DAO, right? So Spring's auto wiring, if there is exactly same name class is there, it will auto wire, okay? And for that you need to put some annotation, auto wire or resource, in this case resource, right? So as soon as I did that, the test is passing. But we are still not passing any data, right? But before I go through that, let's say I started with person service impl and person which implements person service. I did not show you how I generated that, okay? So because I wanted to come, I just wanted to come prepared. So I had generated beforehand, but you can go to create similar and say create a new service class, okay? Okay, then let's say the class is called Denver, okay? And you select the package. First time it is a little slow, like the JUnit. Just wait 1 minute. Okay. Just ask you say if you want to import these classes. Let's say okay, and import these interfaces is okay. This question ignore. So let's see what does it do. And the service class will typically have a DAO class inside, right? Typically. So in our case, let's say you have a house DAO, or you can cancel here. I just to demonstrate. So whom it will generate, You have to format it. So you created the Denver service impl and Denver service, implementing all those interfaces and creating this line as well, Line 32. You saw in the Eclipse that it was not giving me code complete, but since I have macro, how did I define that? You go here, in the preferences, you just use create service preference. So you can say any number of, any kind of code you want to put in the class body. So you see this line, it's again a velocity template, and input is what you type in the text box. So it saves you a lot of time to create some boilerplate code. Okay. But I'll not use the Denver service impl today, so I'll just delete that again and go back to my person service. And if you noticed, I did not type Denver service, I just typed Denver. Automatically put service and all this because the pattern is set in the preferences once. Okay? Okay, now let's put some things in person. I'm still passing a blank person, right? Line 35, I'm still passing a blank person. So how can I populate, you call some setter method, right? Person.set, employee.set name, employee.get, employee.set first name, employee.set last name, set date of birth, and again, instead of doing that, again this first code plugin will create instance of a class. Again select the person here and change it to MPL. And select, ask you what are the things you want to. Okay? We don't have salary yet, and we don't need person ID is always null. So you only in these fields, right? So it will create, it format it. So it will create all the setter set. Okay? You have to populate now values. Okay, but what will be better? Is that the best way? What will be even better if it can create a method that will create the person, takes the arguments and creates a person. So for that also it has a template. So you go, then you invoke this create instance of class as a method, okay, and you select it here, and you can call it employee or it doesn't matter at this point. And let's see what it does. Again, you select the fields, right? And so boom, it created. Just format it. Okay. It created the person class, and not person class, created that method that will, So how can I use it? And you have to do it doesn't import those classes, so you have to Ctrl+Shift+O, and the formatting is already done. Now we can call that create person. So say new date, right? Put some value here, John. And this gender, so let's say male. Last name is Smith. And title, Mr., right? And then set it to some local variable called person. Okay? Oh, I said person. I should have said employee, but let's. Okay? Again, test is passing. So it makes it a little cleaner, right? So instead of if you have 10 fields, if you instantiate like that in the test, instead of create a method, so you call the method, right? But infinite test of course ran, but did it create anything? Let's check in the database. So I will select nothing there. Okay?
Roll it back.
Okay. Yeah, so you are all Spring savvy guy, so by default it will roll back, and I've explicitly put roll back here. So let's put roll back false. Okay? The Spring ran it, Now let's see if it. Okay. It created, right? Now person will have some salary, right? But as long as I'll to prevent Spring to create infinite test to run it all the time, so I'll create. What I have to say, person get salary. No, first you have to say person set salary. New hash set or something, right? What is that? Okay. Now we can say person.
Person can have more than one salary?
Sorry?
A person can have more than one salary?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So person get salaries and add a new salary. Okay. Although it is showing green now, but because it is ignored, it's not doing anything. So for the salary, again, let's create another create salary method. So I have a salary table, create instance as method, and salary class is not there, right? So you have to browse salary. And what are the fields we need? Person, salary, and year, right? Salary ID you don't need. Okay. It doesn't format, so you have to format it. Still didn't format. Okay. So I created the method, right? Oh, is it giving error? Oh, it doesn't. This is also salary and this is also salary. So let's name it to sal. Okay. So you have to do a little bit massaging, right? Now it's all fine. Okay. So it takes what? It takes the month, salary, year, and person. Okay. So add, create salary. You can say create salary. Month is the 1st to January. Salary is, let's say, 5,000. Year is 2012. And this is the person, right? Because we created. And let's add a couple of more. Okay. 2. Next month, let's say 6,000, right? Next month, let's say 8,000. 3 months salary we are going to add, okay? So the code looks much cleaner, right? If you put the create salary right there, instead you have created a method, and then you're calling it, So now will it run? Let's now take care of the ignore methods. And if you go back to the salary, select, there's nothing there, right? So now let's run it. So I saved it, automatically ran. So now let's see. It put 3 salaries down there. Right there, right? 5,000, 8,000, and 6,000. Does it look 0? 8,000, right? 1, 2, 3. So we just work with only one. So let's put the rollback true again. So it doesn't keep updating the database. So we'll, for the person ID 158, it created 3 salaries. Okay. So how do I see those all the person and salary in one detail? One thing. You have to go to visualizer or any code or anything. I have to see the salary and person join the 2 tables, right? How do I see? You have to write some join, right? By the way, we are doing a plain approach of set right here. Right? Set date of birth, set first name, set last name, set title, right? There's something wrong with this, right? In modern time, what do they do? This is not a good approach, right? It's called, the class is not immutable. And, okay, right, maybe we'll come to the later. But before, let me show you. I just created the service. I did not create the front-end class. Will be some kind of person controller, right? Right? And this I have created beforehand. I did not use the plugin. Now, similarly, if you had a salary controller, which I don't have, similarly, you can create the new class. You can say salary. And automatically convert the name. First letter is not uppercase. It automatically convert. So, and same, you go through the same thing. Again, creating first time any of those, it takes a little time. Again, this time it will ask for a dependency of any service, right? Controller classes depend on some service class. So let's say it is person service. So let's say this, and boom, it will create the salary controller, okay? And you have to format a little bit, right? Okay. you see the value, usually the salary.htm, this is also right there. And how does it know? Again, is configurable. It's called configured here. See, it's called UI preference, and it's an input controller and a class that you need to put here. This kind of thing, right? But we will just delete that. But you can see once you set it up, it takes only 5 minutes. You can create the whole class with all kind of stuff body, stuff methods, very fast. So I just delete that. And this plugin also has something. Now I'll turn on this controller. Let's say turn on this controller. You can also do another way. You want to create a salary controller, or you can copy one class to another. You can highlight, the name you want to say the person should be replaced by salary, right? So there is a copy method. So you just say salary. It will say doing copy method. Okay, see. Oh, I don't know how that is. But it created, with the proper annotations and salary controller, it created. Easily you can create one class to another. It is a nice copy mechanism. But I'll delete it. But quickly I'll show you. I've created another SQL DAO where you can generate SQL statement as well. Okay. So remember we have created the person and salary, and we can easily show the person table or the salary table. But if you want to see two of them together, you need to write a join. So here also this plugin will help. So another. You say create. Cancel.
Just a few more minutes. Sorry. Appreciate your.
So you can actually go to the menu and you can person and salary. Okay. And when you do that, automatically select the common fields name here, the join table, right here. You can see, and let's see what it does. And select whichever fields, So let's select some fields. Person ID, and then definitely month is important, salary is important, year is important. Okay? And then it's asked for the where fields, Okay, like we know the person ID, let's just do person ID for now. So person ID. So you'll create a JDBC, whatever you write the JDBC code for it, it will create the whole thing. Okay? But we don't have time. So what I will do, I'll just take this SQL, okay, and paste it in there, see if it works. But remember the person ID is 158, so I will remove it. So person ID is 158. Okay, now see. Oh?
Yep.
You did miss some comma or something?
You picked up birth date, does that matter?
Oh, I selected birthday? Oh, that was a mistake, I didn't select it. But generated the whole SQL, right? So now you see, it created the nice join statement, and you can use it in Java code, you can use it in your SQL, favorite SQL editor, SQL program. Now you can see that person has 3 salaries, John Smith, okay?
Right, did you want to summarize before I?
Basically, so what is the, lesson, what do you call the moral of the talk? Basically, that generate, always use, not repeat yourself, right? Use generic patterns, like generic DAO you use. And we do have to create classes, artifacts. If it is similar pattern, use some kind of tool to even generate for you. So that is the basic intention. Moral of the talk.
Very good. Thank you, Guitar. I wanted to explain, we did a little last minute switch, and we really appreciate Guitar's support as well as Jim's to do that, just for what we felt would work really well with our jug. So thank you for doing a little shorter talk than you had planned. We really appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and take a break. So I'll kind of